So in the past couple of weeks following Dexter Resurrection's finale, there have been some insane casting rumors speculated by the Dexter fandom. But by far the most real and jaw-dropping one is none other than Bryan Cranston being cast to play Dexter's next big threat yet in season 2. Now to be honest, when I had heard speculation surrounding Bryan Cranston joining Resurrection's cast, I didn't really think it was real and I thought it was just a fake announcement purely developed by fans. However, more and more trusted news outlets have been saying he's likely being eyed to play a substantial role in the next season. If this is true, I think it would take things to a whole new level within the Dexter franchise. Something I've been worried about following the first season of Resurrection is the concept of how can they possibly outperform what they did in season 1. I mean, this recent season of Dexter lies very high up within my ranking, being comparable to even some of the golden seasons like 2 and 4. To go above and beyond is going to be very hard to do with the impressive first season they had, and one way to do so is to cast one of the best actors in the game, Bryan Cranston. Now, Bryan Cranston is best known for his role of Walter White in Breaking Bad, the most critically acclaimed show of all time. His performance throughout the series was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing and is what defined the show to be what it is till this day. Of course, the writing was a major aspect of why it blew up thanks to Vince Gilligan's brilliant mind, but Cranston is the one who brought that script to life. Another very interesting aspect about him as an actor is his ability to play a variety of characters ranging from the most wholesome, funny people to the most evil and dark characters you have ever seen on screen. This is extremely good for a show like Dexter where the lines between comedy and darkness tend to intersect at times and, may I add, do so perfectly. In Resurrection season 1, a great reason why it did so well compared to other seasons of Dexter is their casting of Peter Dinklage as Leon Prater. As many of you know, he's also starred in various projects, but by far his most notable performance was in Game of Thrones. Being the actor he is, he was able to become one of the more memorable villains to have come out of this new era in the Dexter franchise. Without an actor like him, Leon Prater would have been a completely different kind of character and might have not been the dark, depraved individual we saw throughout the series. Now just imagine, if Peter Dinklage was able to deliver such greatness, think about what Bryan Cranston can do with the right material. For decades, Dexter and Breaking Bad fans have imagined what a Dexter Morgan versus Walter White season-long battle would look like. Just the idea alone is very appealing, having Dexter go up against one of fiction's most notable villains of all time. Now, although Walter White might not be technically considered a villain since we saw firsthand everything he had to go through, his decisions towards the end of the show really paint him as one. If somehow the writers of Dexter could create a villain that gives us hints of Walter White while also developing something new and refreshing, it could really take Resurrection to new heights following the already critically acclaimed first season. But here's where I think things could get even more interesting. Not just the casting itself, but in what it represents for Dexter's overall direction. If you really think about it, every great villain in Dexter's history hasn't just been a physical threat. They've mirrored something that was already broken inside Dexter. Trinity represented family and faith gone wrong. The Doomsday Killer represented blind belief and delusion. Even Leon Prater in Resurrection symbolized the idea of control. Now, if Bryan Cranston were to join that legacy, his character could embody something Dexter's never truly faced: intellectual morality. Imagine a villain who doesn't just kill out of passion or compulsion, but out of philosophy. Someone who genuinely believes that the world is better off if certain people die, and who's willing to debate that belief with Dexter himself. That's where the show could tap into Cranston's brilliance. The man doesn't just act evil, he makes you understand it. In Breaking Bad, his descent wasn't shocking because it happened suddenly. It was shocking because it made sense. You could track every justification, every compromise, every lie that started as protection and ended as pride. If the writers of Resurrection give him a villain role that forces Dexter to question whether his code is still relevant, that's when things get dangerous in the best possible way. Because at that point, it's not a battle of blood, it's a battle of ideology. And honestly, that's the kind of story that could separate Resurrection from every other season that came before it. It's not about who kills who, it's about who's right. Imagine Cranston's character looking Dexter dead in the eye and saying something like, "You're not a monster, Dexter, you're an amateur." That's the kind of tension that makes the air in the room feel heavy, and it's the kind of writing that keeps people glued till the very last second. However, it's important to keep in mind that Cranston has aged since Breaking Bad, and although he wasn't this crazy agile individual in that show, his fighting abilities, if he were to come to Dexter, would be pretty mediocre. This is why I think it would be something similar to Prater, where he has access to resources to make him look like he's 6 feet taller than he actually is. At the end of the day, Prater had zero chance when it came to fighting Dexter, but he was still extremely threatening due to all the money and access to private security he had. But I wouldn't want to see the exact same thing happen with Cranston, which leads me to think they should give him genius level level intelligence to really level the playing field against Dexter. And honestly, that idea opened so many doors. We've seen Dexter outsmart cops, serial killers, even his own mentors. But what happens when he finally meets someone who's 3 steps ahead of him before he even acts? A villain who doesn't stalk victims, but stalks Dexter's psychology. Maybe Cranston's character already knows who Dexter is, what he's done, and instead of exposing him, he toys with him. Picture a character who sets up moral traps instead of physical ones. Situations that force Dexter to choose between his code and his survival. That's way scarier than a typical killer, because this time the monster Dexter's hunting might actually deserve to win. That kind of dynamic isn't just thrilling, it's the kind of cat and mouse tension that keeps people talking long after the credits roll. But I mean, come on, if there were to be any actor who could possibly make the next season better than the one we just had, I think most people's top 3 picks include Cranston due to the spectacular performance he had in Breaking Bad. Now, me personally, this would be genuinely jaw-dropping to see, considering the fact that Michael C. Hall and Bryan Cranston are both in my top 3 actors of all time. To see them play off of each other would be straight out of fan fiction, and is a concept fans have only been dreaming of ever since those early seasons aired. Besides giving the fans what they want, I feel like it also makes sense to cast them in terms of getting people to watch the show. If the lead actor from Breaking Bad, a show that everybody knows or has heard of, joins the cast of Dexter, you can bet people will be intrigued by it and will watch it just because he's in it. With the fact that all the other Dexter spin-offs have been cancelled, Resurrection's budget has likely increased, which leads me to believe they have more money to spend on these insanely talented actors. But something I think people are really underestimating is just how different season 2 could feel compared to anything we've seen before. The tone of Resurrection was already darker, slower, and more cinematic. But what if they decide to go full psychological thriller this time? Not just focusing on Dexter's kills or the cat and mouse dynamic. Think Mindhunter meets Breaking Bad, where every episode feels like it's peeling back a layer of Dexter's sanity. It wouldn't just be about who dies next, it'd be about what Dexter becomes when every moral compass around him starts to rot. Cranston's addition could push the writers to craft something more self-aware and introspective. It's the kind of tonal shift that could make Resurrection not just a sequel, but a genuine evolution of the entire series. However, one thing that hasn't really been discussed is who he will even be playing. Some think he could be playing the New York Ripper since they're likely going to be the next season's antagonist, and others believe he could embody the role of one of Dexter's most notorious villains from the books like Dr. Danko and such. It's really up in the air, but even thinking about him being involved in the next season makes me excited beyond explanation. If you want to dive even deeper into these theories with exclusive videos, guaranteed replies, and your name featured at the end of every upload, you can become a channel member for just $2.99. It helps out a ton and keeps this content going. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and drop your own thoughts and theories in the comments down below. And if you want to keep the conversation going, hop into the Discord where we talk about all your favorite shows and media. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.